Folks, my name is Nick. You have found the Inroad. Thanks for watching. Got a really special guest today. Looking forward to it very much. Scott Wickens. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, interestingly enough, I don't know if you remember this, you were at the first sermon I ever preached.
Probably.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I think I did know that.
April 20th.
Although I forgot that, but yeah.
2012.
Wow.
8 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. And it was terrible.
I didn't think so. You said that, and no, I don't think so. I don't think it was.
I joked because people came up to the altar crying afterwards. And I think they were crying because they were happy the sermon was over.
Oh, no.
No, it was a good starting point. And then, yeah, I've preached a lot since then. But it was really cool that you were there. I only remember a few people who were there. But, man, yeah, that was an interesting time. So we have a lot to cover today.
Yeah?
Well, some things to cover. I want to talk about the CMA.
Okay.
Which is an organization you're big on.
I am.
Tell me about what is the CMA, first of all. And to listeners, I'd like to get into at least later how they can be a part of it, how they can support it, and so forth. So what is the CMA and what's your capacity?
Well, the CMA is the Christian Motorcyclists Association. Got to throw that S on there. That is it's basically a worldwide, international, interdenominational ministry geared towards motorcycling community.
Yeah. So I'm glad you threw in the S, because I've always just said Christian Motorcycle Association.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
And now that I think about it, that sounds like a motorcycle that is a Christian.
That's exactly why.
Motorcyclists, folks. So how many chapters worldwide? Because I think, I'd heard of the CMA for a while, but for me, I had always just thought it was relegated to the Midwest U.S., but it's worldwide.
It is. It's international now. And has been for quite a while. Just in the U.S. alone, I think we have over 1,300 chapters that have been chartered.
Wow.
But we're also present in 40 countries and 6 continents.
How did you get into it?
So, as Christians, we're always we should be looking for ways to fulfill the Great Commission, which we'll cover later. But so we ran into, basically we just ran into a friend of ours at a gas station one time, and we've known this lady for quite some time. And she was wearing a vest, much like I have on today, and, and she was on a motorcycle, which I think I knew that she rode a motorcycle, but I wasn't sure.
Sure.
Just hadn't seen her in a long time, and so we asked her what it was all about, and she explained to us, kind of what we're doing today, what CMA is, and that she was involved in a chapter north of here in Goshen. And so we really got to thinking about it. It just kind of struck me really hard that I was looking for an outlet to do ministry.
Yeah.
And with something that I love doing, which is motorcycles. So we stayed in contact with her, and it wasn't too long. Her and her husband had been looking for maybe putting together a chapter here in Warsaw. And so we were a charter members of the chapter we have now here in Warsaw.
Wow.
And so it's just, and it just took off from there.
And how long ago was that when you joined?
It was about, it was 2009, so 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the events you've been a part of, some of the things you've been able to do since joining?
CMA's has a lot of events of our own. We have local events and statewide events, regional and national events, but just being able to go out and minister and use CMA as the main tool to just go out and do any kind of motorcycle event. We do charity rides and secular rallies and things like that.
Wow.
But just we're just all about really making relationships, building relationships, and making friends and getting to know people.
Right, and I mean, this is my heart. I love this stuff. I mean, I'm not into motorcycles. I've never driven a motorcycle, likely never will. But what I do love is the invasion of the gospel in every sphere. Yeah. And I love that the CMA is like, hey, we like motorcycles, and so we're going to invite Jesus into motorcycles. I think there's just this narrative in the church that it's like, you invite Jesus into your heart at the altar on a Sunday, and that's where he's invited and that's where he stays.
No.
But he's actually invited into every sector, every sphere, every people group, every hobby. And the CMA is really like carrying that mandate well.
Yeah. We tell people all the time, you don't have to have a motorcycle to be part of CMA.
Really?
You just have to love people.
Awesome. So I could join.
Absolutely.
I might have to do that. I know a ton of people in it. Like Laster in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing people. They're part of this local chapter. I
Yes.
assume. Wow. So I'm trying to think. So if you put on like a charity ride, are there opportunities for non-CMA members to serve and support?
Oh, yeah, anytime.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't, if people want to come hang out for a while, they can do that. And that's probably a good thing, just because it is an active ministry.
Sure.
And not just necessarily a ride club or a Christian club. So
Yeah.
it's always good for people to get a little taste and kind of see what it is we're about. And of course, it takes a while to get the vision and to capture the big picture of how big this animal really is.
Yeah, no doubt. So you've got some notes. Share a little bit more. Some stuff that you have written down. If you have any, I would love to hear if you have anything in the can. Some maybe testimonies or anything you've got like that's been influential as you've been a part of this ministry, because it's sort of got an evangelistic edge, right? I mean, you're in a world that's not Christian dominated.
Yeah. So I'll read a few of my notes, and this is, it's not, like I said, it's going to sound a little wordy, but
Sure, yeah.
a little reedy. But so our mission statement for the Christian Motorcyclists Association, our vision is changing the world one heart at a time. And we will accomplish our mission through evangelistic outreach primarily, but not exclusively, to the motorcycling community. Run for the Sun, where we will partner with ministries with world-reaching potential. We can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Equipping our members in ministry training that aligns itself with biblical truths. A servant's attitude to the world and our members, such as Here If You Need Us. Quality products that aid in evangelistic outreach. An efficient support center team. So our mission statement is to inspire our leaders and members to be the most organized, advanced, equipped, financially stable organization, full of integrity in the motorcycling industry and kingdom of God.
Awesome.
A lot.
And for those people listening, that was just all from your head, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. From my screen to my. No, we talk about our mission statement and our vision a lot. Just because it's important to kind of keep people just so that they remember what CMA's mission is and where we started and where we'd like to keep it. We talked about, you mentioned charity rides. We don't necessarily put on any charity rides. We support local charity rides. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Right.
But CMA is only really only involved in one fundraiser a year.
Gotcha.
That we call Run for the Sun.
Gotcha. Otherwise, it's things like Ride for the Homeless, Ride for the Hungry, any sort of ride that's available.
Right.
There's likely going to be CMA members that show up for it.
Yeah, and again, we do secular rides as well. We go to abate functions and hog rallies.
Yeah. What are some of those secular rides that you guys do?
Oh, one locally is Hogwaller.
Yes, that's the name. I knew it was a weird name.
A lot of people have heard about Hogwaller.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Heard things.
It's a good place for Jesus to be.
Well, and I've told people this before. It's not to look at it as an us and them scenario. That's not right.
Right.
We're all in this. We all fall short of the glory of God.
Yeah.
We are there to build friendships and family. And to serve.
Yeah.
And that's we're not out there riding around on a golf cart with a megaphone and telling people they're gonna, what I mean? It's not about that. That's not what we're here for on this earth anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like Jesus himself is God on the throne, and he says, if I want to change them and see them do well, I've got to become one of them. I got to take on human flesh and live this out. And to so many minds, that's especially back in the day, there's this group called the Gnostics who thought that was absurd. There's no way this holy God would come live among us struggling flesh. Yet we duplicate that teaching all the time.
Yeah.
We say Hogwaller. That's not a place for a Christian to be. We take verses out of context, like "come out from among them," and
Right.
you know, where
No, you're right.
And there's this reality that that's the best place you can be, is influencing that crowd.
Yeah.
Now, if you just came out of a really dark lifestyle 2 weeks ago, maybe you shouldn't
Might
be
not
around
be
a bunch of temptation.
Right.
But what I see with the CMA is these mature believers who are like, hey, let's go be in this crowd so we can love them and influence them properly.
Well, and it's because of CMA and their roots and how far they've come over the years that we're even allowed to be there, or to be at rallies that are rather a dark place.
Yeah.
The church in general cannot go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they physically can't, but they haven't built that relationship, whereas CMA has.
How did that rapport get built in these groups? Just through consistently being a good witness, having a stable, level-headed organization. It was a part of the founder's vision. How has that worked?
All of the above, really.
Yeah.
It's like, again, we're just. I think people can see through someone being fake.
Yeah.
Okay, I think just being a good steward of the gospel and being there and serving people helps the ministry and helps it keep going and keep growing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was started back in 1975. A guy by the name of Herb Shreve from Hatfield, Arkansas, pastor, bought a motorcycle, and he had a God calling on his life that he wanted to build relationships and witness to bikers, and so him and his son started going to rallies in the area. I can't imagine what that was like, just starting out.
Yeah.
But here, that was 45 years ago.
Is he still around?
No, he passed away 2-3 years ago.
How did he grow it?
I don't know exactly. I know that he placed an ad in a motorcycle magazine, and it just exploded to the point where him and his wife were trying to field all the mail that was coming in. People wanted to join this organization.
Yeah.
That he basically had him and his son and his wife and a few others that were going to these things.
Wow.
It just took off, and like I said, now we've chartered over 1,300 chapters in the United States.
Incredible.
Indiana alone has 27 chapters.
That's so wild. And here's what's wild about it, that there is still, everything is wild about it, but what's really wild is that it's effective, level-headed.
Yeah.
As far as I know, there's not a bunch of weird spin-offs in like Discord. And like you came in here and you're emphasizing the mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the hardest things about doing Christian type ministry in fields that are traditionally non-Christian is not even non-Christian, but just neutral, right? Like motorcycles, is it's very easy to lose sight of the mission statement. Like I've known of life groups that get together and they say, hey, we're a jogging group, right?
Right.
We get together, we pray, we read the Bible, then we jog together because jogging is what we like to do.
Sure.
Well, it's very easy a month later for it to just be jogging with like a quick word of prayer at the beginning, right? And so you like really lose sight of this Christian emphasis, but you don't see that with the CMA. Like you guys are very mission minded.
Well, it can go the other way. It could, there could be one or two in the group that decided, well, we're going to run a little faster. So now it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe they've kept the Christian aspect, but now you got a couple that are running.
Yes.
And people can't keep up.
Yeah.
That's why we emphasize those things and to keep our members grounded and remember what we're supposed to be all about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What do you guys do in the winter? Is there any any presence at all when you can't
We're all
ride?
heavily medicated and depressed because we can't ride our motorcycles. Honestly, this time of year, it's terrible. On my truck on the way in, it was 26 degrees, and I'm thinking, I just want to ride my motorcycle.
This weekend, right? I heard this Saturday is going to be really good.
Yeah. Well, there's
50 degrees.
Yeah, saw some bikes out last weekend. So, no, in the winter, ministry never stops. So in the winter, we're involved in other things. We have that's one of the neat things about CMA is we're multifaceted. So it's not just motorcycling ministry. So there's of course motorcycle things going on, but we have members that serve at fellowship missions and different things, nursing homes and whatnot. So there's never anything not to do. I mean, we have training that takes place over the winter months. We have in the early spring, we have an event that we call Seasons of Refreshing, which is coming up. We have a day of prayer that's always March 1st, or the first Sunday in March, rather. So, there's never
a shortage.
Never a shortage.
Well, you've also, that makes sense. You got a lot of people in southern states who can just ride year round as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned training. What's the training for?
Well,
and what does that look like, I should say?
Well, I guess just to be basic, to be a member, you asked, how do I be a member?
Yeah.
We have a member training video. It's a little long. It's 3 hours, it's a little over 3 hours long. But you'll learn everything there is to know about CMA and the ministry. And so we ask our potential members to view the video, to buy a book that goes along with the video. And there's some questions, and then they fill it out and send it in, and there's no dues.
Really?
We ask, we want people to be financially supportive of the ministry.
Of course, yeah.
But we don't, necessarily charge dues
Gotcha.
or anything like that. And then you basically declare or name a chapter that when you do all that you're joining. So somebody like yourself might put down the Warsaw chapter. And
how old do you have to be to join? Just old enough to ride a motorcycle?
Just to be a regular standing member, I think it's 12 years old? That's a good question. I can't remember that. Well, they have offshoots, so they have like a youth movement for the kids, and then they have
awesome.
So they have CMA Kids, and they have a youth movement, and then they have an LIT program, which is like 18 to 25, which is leaders in training, and then so then after that, you can be part of CMA, but you don't have to be 25 to be a part of CMA.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what else do you have on the list? Anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I'll share a little bit about Run for the Sun if you'd like to
Please
hear more
do.
about that.
Yeah.
So Run for the Sun is the only fundraiser that we're involved in a year in CMA. So in the first Saturday of May, it's kind of our come together and celebrate day. But our fundraising, which is usually done by individual members, takes place all year round. So I might have a personal fundraiser that I do. I might just take money out of my own pocket and put in there.
Right.
Or I might, make crafts or
Do you make crafts, Scott?
sell things. I don't. I'm kind of crafty. But anyway, so people have their own ways that they raise money for Run for the Sun.
Nice.
And then in the first Saturday in May, we all come together, and all this money gets pooled. Every chapter does it, and all this money comes together, and then we send it into CMA National, and so that all goes to them, and then what they do with it is they actually give away more of that than they keep.
Awesome.
So last year alone, 2019, we raised over $4.8, isn't it? $4.9 million, $4.8.
Wow.
So just north of $4.8 million. So what we do with that is we partner with 3 very special organizations that have world-reaching potential, right? So one of them is called Missionary Ventures, and if you've heard of any of these, that's fine. But Missionary Ventures provides transportation to pastors in third world countries and different places around the world. So they get 20% of that money. And so far, we've given away over 6,900 motorcycles, almost 7,000 bicycles, 40 horses, 42 boats. Yes, I'm reading this. 4 horses, a horse and buggies, 2 snowmobiles, and 1 camel so far.
Wow.
And this allows pastors to reach flocks that they might not otherwise be able to reach.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys they're traveling through a jungle in the middle of the night, and if they have a motorcycle, they can get back and forth really easy. So, and then of course we offer mission trips that some of our members can sign up for and go and present these motorcycles, which I understand. I haven't got to go yet, but I understand that that's really quite life-changing.
Oh, I'm sure. Wow.
So that's 20%. Another 20% goes to Open Doors. I don't know if you've ever heard of Open Doors. Brother Andrew, he was from the Netherlands. He was the Bible smuggler. He wrote a book about smuggling God's word into Bibles into countries that don't allow the Bible to be.
Wow.
And so far, we've through Open Doors, we've been able to give away 3 million Bibles, and they get 20%. The last 20% goes to the Jesus Film Project.
Yeah.
So that's so far has been translated into 540 languages and viewed by 147 million people. And 15 million people have been saved because of the Jesus film. So we like to. So that's 2020, and then the other 40% comes to CMA National and allows us to do mission work right here in the United States.
Yeah.
So they'll use that money for doing the bigger rallies like Sturgis and Daytona Beach and some of these Laconia and some of these big rallies that were, and it buys coffee and stuff that we give away, tracts, Bibles, and that type of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really.
Oh my goodness.
So we feel that between these three organizations and Run for the Sun, that we're the largest, most effective ministry in the world.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so much money to funnel into amazing movements. I love that, because it'd be so easy for CMA just to be like, yeah, we're a Christian motorcycle club, but you're actually doing it. You're actually channeling funds into these amazing causes, and it really moves me, because it makes me think, for all the people who say, well, the church is just a dead sleeping giant and people aren't really doing anything for God anymore. It's incredible what God is doing in these places.
Love it.
And it's awesome.
Yeah. Really, to me, if every Sunday at church, there should be people missing. That's how I feel about it. There should be, if you're born again Christian, you should be doing something other than going to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, I'll be in Ukraine for 2 weeks next month, preaching and ministering, and we've missed quite a few Sundays for gospel-centered work. So I'm on page with you 100%.
It's nice when you have a pastor and a worship team that understand that you're involved in ministry, and
exactly.
You're going to be gone a lot in the summer, and
no doubt about it. Wow. So $4.some million, and CMA retains 40, gives 60%. And that's why CMA is blessed, in my opinion. As far as I'm concerned, the reason the money's going to continue to come in is this heart that, God's like, hey, I can trust you.
None of that money is used for administrative purposes, salaries, anything
Seriously.
like that. None of it.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's unheard
now, again,
of.
we ask our members to financially support the ministry. That money goes to support, there is people that work for CMA. They have 38 people that work for them. They have a CEO and chairman of the board and stuff. But
this big fundraiser,
Run for the Sun money, is strictly for ministry.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's exciting. Yeah. When you see videos or you hear testimonies, people talking about what Run for the Sun is and what they got to witness, it just sets you on fire.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And even the Jesus film, the way that's impacting the world. What were those numbers again? 15?
Jesus film, 15 million people saved from watching the video, or the movie, but 147 million people have viewed it.
That's incredible. God is working in all these fields and all these facets, and I just love it. And I'm really excited that there's so many good people partnering with it as well.
Yeah.
What's your vision for your involvement with CMA? Where are you headed with it? Is it one of those things where you're like,
excuse me,
just going to stick with it, keep doing what we're doing, or?
I have no reason to stop being involved in CMA, really.
Yeah.
I just want to see it continue to grow. When there's so many things in the motorcycling community that is shrinking, I want to see the ministry keep growing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any more data or stats or insight you'd like to throw in before we shift?
Not necessarily, no.
I think you've pitched it pretty well. I think it's it's easy to pitch when you have the data on your side. This organization is doing a lot of really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, they're very, very good stewards of the money that comes in, and it's not about the money, but
Yeah.
to us, it is about run for the sun and seeing people come to
Yeah.
Christ because of the Great Commission. Jesus said to go, therefore go and make disciples of all nations. I don't think it was a suggestion or, I don't know if you get time.
Yeah.
It's a Great Commission, and I can't go to Africa. I can't go to places like that to minister, but this is the way I can.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said go into all the world. And that word world, I looked up one time in the Greek, and it has these implications of like spheres of society. Because we think geography. Go into all the world and preach the gospel.
Yeah.
We think geography. But there's this implication with what that word actually means in the Greek, where he's talking about every level, like the entertainment industry, the education sector of the economy, go into film and music and factories. And of course there's missionaries in Africa. There's people on the streets ministering and witnessing. But he's really talking about just living out your faith in every sphere you'd be.
Yeah.
And people who neglect it are really missing out on a rich benefit
Oh, absolutely.
of the Christian life.
I think between CMA and Run for the Sun combined, I think we've reached 194 countries so far.
That's almost all of them.
We had somebody from Open Doors tell us that one of the largest growing churches is basically in Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
Christian church.
Saudi Arabia, Iran is exploding. China's exploding.
And
in
it's I
growth.
can't even I never would have guessed that to begin with, but I can't. It's so hard to fathom.
Yeah.
Especially in that region of the world,
Yeah, these underground movements are wild. And that's just what we know. I mean, because it's underground, it's hard to quantify. But we just know there's these churches that are massive
Yeah.
and growing rapidly.
It's exciting.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And it really makes you want to see a regime change with some of these communist governments to let the church flourish,
Yeah.
because the persecution, like in North Korea, is so heavy.
Oh, yeah.
In China, it's so heavy. In Nepal, it's so heavy. And, man, if you could see liberty from a governmental standpoint, it'd just be so cool. I'd love to go there for a conference, I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
now.
Can you
but-
imagine?
You mentioned earlier that a lot of pastors who have, or not pastors, but CMA members, some who have been on these trips.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go when you deliver these primarily?
Usually it's either South America or Central America.
Gotcha.
And I don't know the reason for that. CMA sets those up, so I don't know if that's just because it's maybe safer for people to go, or I don't know.
Do you want to do it at some point?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
That'd be epic.
I think sometimes they go to Africa too, but
Gotcha.
yeah, it would be great.
Is there an application process, or you just?
Yeah, I think you just contact CMA, and they have you talk to somebody about the mission trips, and they have them usually lined up. Usually by this time of year, they'll have them in our. We have a magazine that's called Heartbeat, and they'll have them in the back there. You can sign
Gotcha.
up for them. Of course, there's a limited number of slots available. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
but yeah,
I want to backtrack a little bit.
sure.
So we talked about CMA, your involvement. You got involved when you got involved almost a decade ago now.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start walking with Jesus to begin with?
About officially, about 1999.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to, a lot of people, I've grown up in the church. And,
Yeah. You're from Warsaw?
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Warsaw, and my mom's family was all from the Bourbon area, Marshall County area.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I went to church for a long time without being saved.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a lot of music, worship music in church without being saved.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was about 99. Yeah, my mom was she was basically dying. She had cancer, and it was terminal. And so she went to the altar to pray one day at our church, and I couldn't. It was like there was a fire underneath my chair. I couldn't stay there any longer, and I
Wow.
just went to the altar and cried out to God. I didn't want to live one more day,
Yeah.
not knowing for sure that I wasn't going to see my mother again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that takes place. What year was it when you got married?
Oh, I got married in 92.
Okay, so you've been married for 6 years, 7 years.
Yes.
Sorry, my math is horrendous.
It's all right.
I'm an English guy.
We can write things down if you
Okay, so you get born again, you're married, and when did you have Haley?
98.
Okay, so from there, I'm trying to get like a sort of a time frame of your life. When did you start getting into motorcycles, and when did this hobby become a passion? Because it's a passion now, right?
It is, yeah. So when did I get into motorcycles?
Yeah.
Oh, that was about, well, in my mind, I got into them a long time ago. But in reality, when I was about 13 years old, I wanted a dirt bike really, really bad, like a lot of kids, you know. And I was getting an allowance, and you know, it's hard to save enough money for a dirt bike when you're just getting an allowance for doing your chores on a weekly basis. So, my dad gave me a big chore to do. I had to completely paint this barn and the house that we lived in. It was a wood-sided house, and so we had to use stain, and it was really messy, and it was up on the ladder, and I was 13 years old, and he worked third shift, so... But I did it. I completed the job, and he kept his promise, and so we went to the Yamaha shop, and I got an MX-80, 1980 MX-80.
And then the addiction started.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
So do you drive a Harley now?
One of them is a Harley, yes.
One of them?
Yeah.
Okay, how many do you have?
I knew this question would come up.
Do you have to look it up? Do you have a spreadsheet?
No, I actually have a really long list. I should have brought it. Currently, well, my wife has one of them, so. And then I have the rest.
The rest.
Yeah. I think there's 7 in my garage, yeah.
Yeah, that's plenty.
It is.
Do you have more coming?
Well, I don't think it's a problem. Sorry. I don't think it's a problem, really, until you run out of space to put them.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a problem then. Never mind.
Well, it could be worse.
Yeah.
There's worse things.
There's worse things. There is.
Okay, so you have this passion for motorcycles. You're saved. You find CMA. Mm-hmm. When did Scott Rod Customs come into play?
Yeah, so that's just kind of a sideline business that I had started, which I have now closed, actually.
Really?
Late last summer, I kind of shut it down permanently. But I'd worked on my own cars and trucks and motorcycles for years, and just kind of learned to be a good mechanic over the years. And so, and Scott Rod Customs was just kind of a name that I'd had from high school, and Scott Rod. And so, I'm always got some kind of project on the back burner or front burner, however you want to put it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm constantly doing, making something, repurposing, tearing apart. I love to just customize stuff. Yeah. Sometimes it's musical instruments and whatnot. So that was just a kind of a name that fit the motorcycle service business really well. So that's just kind of what I started doing. And it ended up being more of a service work than anything. There towards the last, I wasn't doing really any customizing or anything like that, building things for people. It was more just servicing Harleys, oil changes and brakes and changing tires and stuff. So
nice. And so you jumped out of it, just too much headache, didn't enjoy it anymore.
Well, I work full time, so I mean it was really hard to manage that, and every night worrying about who's dropping off and who's picking up, and
that's a lot.
And I started doing it out of my garage, and then I got a building here in town. I started renting a building, which is really a bad investment, especially in the winter months when nobody's riding their motorcycles. So paying rent all winter long was not conducive to paying the bills. So I just kind of kept it at home and doing it out of my garage. And so
what are you going to do in the future? So you work in orthopedics, right?
Yes.
Okay. What do you do in orthopedics?
I'm a prototype model maker.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So, what are you looking at 5-10 years from now? What are you going to do?
Probably at least 10. Yeah. I don't know. It's I want to do some traveling and stuff, but yeah, I probably will always work as long as I'm able. Yeah. In some fashion, and probably will not stop working completely on motorcycles.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so you're married, you've got one kid, you got one grandkid.
Yep.
Awesome. Everybody's local,
Everybody's local.
including your wife.
Yeah, my wife is local also, yeah. My daughter and son-in-law, they live in Leesburg. And,
Awesome.
when I got the one son, he's 3 years old and
Awesome.
quite the stinker. and another one coming. So I got a little girl coming in April.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a cool reward.
Grandkids are a lot of fun. You've heard it said before that grandkids are way better than kids.
I've heard it said that grandkids are your reward for not killing your own kids.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, where can people find out more about you? Are you online? Facebook?
I'm on Facebook, yes. CMA is on Facebook. We have a presence. A lot of chapters have their own Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
The best place to go is probably the main website, and that's where you can find chapters of CMA.
Mm-hmm.
So CMAUSA.org is the main website, and there they have a Find a Chapter link that you can click on, and it'll bring up a drop down with all the states. And
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect. And how long, if you're interested in joining, how long do you have to wait? If I say, okay, I want to join today, do you have to wait for a training? What's the time frame usually before I'm a member?
Usually the best thing to do is to get connected to a local chapter. So you would go to the website, look up a chapter closest to you. So in this case, we're in Warsaw. We have a chapter right here in Warsaw that we, again, helped start. So they've been around since 2009. They meet the third Thursday of every month in the back room at Mad Anthony's, downtown Warsaw.
Yep.
Meetings at 6:30, and they usually meet about an hour earlier than that just to have a meal together and
Awesome.
and stuff. So you would just get connected to that chapter and then tell them you want to join, and they have a member training video. Most chapters keep those on hand.
Oh, perfect.
And so I think the book is the accompanying book is like $6.
Okay, cool.
So
How many members are there locally in this chapter?
I don't know exactly right now. That usually it's usually around 40 to 50.
Awesome.
They've grown quite a bit.
Awesome.
But there's also chapters really close to here. Elkhart's got a chapter, and South Bend has a chapter. And
Awesome.
so
Awesome.
you could throw a rock and hit 3 of them. So.
That's right. Excellent. Was there anything else you want to throw in?
Not necessarily.
Awesome. I think we pretty well covered it. We'll have
Yeah.
to do a round 2 to dive in a little deeper, because this
Yeah.
organization's like, I've heard of the CMA. I've been around it, worked in church ministry, and know the members, or several members at least.
Mhm.
When we've done outreach stuff downtown, we've always seen you guys. You have a presence there.
Yeah.
But just diving in and hearing these numbers and hearing effectively what you guys are doing, just really encouraging. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to do it again.
We'd love to have you come hang out. It's
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Ministry can be fun.
It really can.
Yeah.
That's something a lot of pastors, a lot of burnt out evangelists need to hear. It's fun.
Sure it is.
It's a joy. Awesome. Well, folks, thank you for checking this out. Look up CMA online, join a local chapter, support a local chapter. This organization's doing amazing stuff. You can subscribe to this podcast in the podcast store, subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/theinroad, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.